Hello, welcome to Chop Shop Motors. My name is Clay, and we're ready for another episode and a little bit of a continuing saga on the 30-day truck challenge. So if you're just joining in, thanks for stopping by. This is a series of videos that we're putting together basically to build a 55 Ford F100 from piles of parts. So it isn't a restoration, so if you're a hardcore restorer, you know, it doesn't quite fill that bill because we're starting with an F250 and turning it into an F100. If you're a hardcore hot rodder, then you know you might be disappointed because we're not dropping it in the weeds and putting a twin turbo, fuel injected, double throw down killer gonzo motor in it. But if you like old stuff and you just kind of want to see something saved and you want to see what a pile of parts that maybe you have passed on in the past or come across or may want to try in the future, it's kind of fun to do, and you can see what it really takes and what's involved, and can you have fun without spending, you know, incredible amount of money on it and still get a high level of fun out of it. So we want to do that on this project, and we're super excited to take you along. So if you like that kind of stuff, like, share, subscribe. We're getting a bunch more people kind of watching and stopping by the channel. If you're a casual stopper and you've only hit the channel a couple times, take a look at what we have. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We need the subscriptions to keep this going. We have a little challenge of our own to see if we can get a certain number of subscriptions, and you know, we're excited to do the videos and share them with you. So the day is a little cooler, but it isn't quite cool enough to do the whole video that we have going on without the fan on. So I had to go and turn it back on. So let me kind of get you up to speed on what we've done so far and what this week is going to look like for us from a push perspective. So we have taken the truck down from an F250 that we drug in here, and we've shortened the frame, we've moved the front spring purchase forward, we started the motor, we put front brakes off of F100 on it, we have put glass in the cab that's going to go on it, we have put door glass in the door, we hung the door, we rebuilt wheel cylinders, we found a master cylinder that would work and we rebuilt it. So we've done a bunch of stuff. What we're going to do in this, especially in this episode, is we're going to unbolt the rear end that is in the F100 frame, and we're going to use it in this truck challenge project. And so our goal is to get it out from under that other truck and get it swung under the challenge truck. And I hope we can make it, but you know, you never know what kind of trouble you're going to run into. The other rear end, getting it out, was a lot more work than I figured it was going to be and required a little more effort, and that's all right. You just never know. The reason I want to get that done in this episode and tonight is I want to get the truck prepped for this next coming Saturday. So this next Saturday I have kind of lined up no honeydews on this Saturday. I got a couple pals coming over, Shelby's coming over, Brian, who did the interior on the 64 F100 and the Falcon, he's going to swing by, and we're going to do the lifting, the muscle required to lift the cab off of both these trucks and do a swap. So that means I have to get everything unbolted during the week, get all the cab bolts out, get all the electrical undone from the one motor because I don't want to destroy it, get the inner fender wells loose, get the fenders ready to pull off, basically make it so that when they show up we can really make some good progress. Because it's not always easy to get, you know, 3 or 4 people over to give you that muscle, and I can't quite do it by myself easily. So we're gonna make a little event out of it, and we'll see if we can get them to help us. The really cool part is if we get the cab swapped, then, I mean, things really start to happen fast, and we'll be able to make some pretty good progress. We'll have all the big chunks out of the way, and it'll be lots of details. And that should make for some entertaining video and pretty fast progress as we go down the home stretch to getting this project done. So that's a little overview. Again, if that sounds like it's fun and some of the videos look entertaining, then subscribe. You know, we probably get about, considering how many people watch the videos, we probably only have about, you know, 30 or 35% actually subscribe. So let's, if you could, if you want to support us, the subscribe really helps us. We need it, and it motivates us. So subscribe, hit the bell so that you'll get the ping. We're going to do a couple of videos a week for this stretch. So let's get to work. Okay, just for the heck of it, here's what it looks like inside this rear end with the drum off. So the drum wasn't too bad to get off. The adjuster finally broke free. But look at that. Is that like a critter haven in there or what? My gosh, that is craziness. So my guess is there's been a bug or two that's been alive in there. I don't know that I've ever seen that many alive in a drum that had a brake drum on it. So that's really weird. Brake shoes look like they're gonna work for what we want to do. Brake drum looks super sketchy. I may have another 1 or 2 that I can look at to replace that. But the shoes look like they'll work, and that's good. So we'll clean that up. It actually looks like the backing plate has been bent a little bit. So probably after we get the rear end in, we'll take a look at that and see, and we'll straighten the backing plate up to make sure that it is kind of square to the axle flange. It isn't something that is, it's not a super technical repair. You just want it to be kind of pretty square. The shoes will correct for any misalignment as they wear, but we want them to be as close as possible. So I just thought I'd show that to you as I was stripping this piece down and getting ready to break these bolts loose. All right, so what have we done? Well, we've got a F100 rear end tucked up against the springs. As you can see, it's a gross one, dirty, slimy, but it is an F100. It's nestled into the springs. Now we need to take a look at what pieces we need to use from the 2 piles. There's the hole. For being the good truck, it's kind of looking like a parts truck, but it's all part of the process. So that's where we are right now with this truck. We got the rear end out. This truck has a 9-inch that will go in it when it's going to go down to the frame and get sandblasted and you know, completely painted and everything. So don't worry, that really all we're doing is just doing work that we would have had to do anyway. And we're putting the parts to good use. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take and start playing with some U-bolts and see if I can get this rear end all bolted up. Ultimately tonight I'd like to have U-bolts on it if I can, and put it back on some wheels so that it's one step closer to doing the capsule. Alright, let's get going. The rear end is bolted up. It's got a F100 in there. It's got the U-bolts. I used the U-bolts from and the lower plate from the F250. Everything seems to be just fine for this application. U-bolts are a little long. I did put a spacer on there. I also took the short spring that I have pulled out of the pack and I put it on top. The reason I did that was just to gain a little height in the spring pack without impacting the height of the spring, the ride height. So it just acts as a 1/4 inch spacer, really just gaining back a little bit of that U-bolt length so that I could put it all together too. So I did that on both sides. Okay, so the rear end's in. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the backing plates and make sure they're square with the axle flange. And then if they're not, I'll give them a quick straighten, and then I'll put the wheels on it and let it down. So if they're bent, I might even put you up on the tripod as I straighten them and see how hard it is to make those better. So let me take a look and measure them up. Okay, I'm gonna measure this and see it's about 2.5 at the front and 2 3/8 at the back. So we need to gain about a 1/16 of an inch, and that'll put us square. Now how that got bent, I don't know. It's a great question. Let's see if we can get it to square up a little bit. Backing plates are pretty tough, so this might not be that easy. To gain a bunch, you just have to gain some. So let's see. Okay, we're at about 2 7/16. Oh, that should be pretty close. Not quite there yet. Okay. Let's see if we can work this out. Well, I just don't have an easy way to work that one back. That's the problem. Boy, we're really getting close. Let's do it one more time. Okay. All right, that one's done. Let's, I'll check the other side and then we're gonna put some wheels on. Okay, this side was bent a little worse. So I'm actually gonna use a big C-clamp on it and pull it in. And then I'll also do the same on the other side to pull it out. That definitely got some misuse and abuse somewhere in its life. I'm going to do the same thing over here that we did on that side. Hard to know what caused that to happen like that. Hard to know. You could see it was somewhat trying to distort that backing plate a little bit, which, you know, it's not perfect, but having it out all over a 1/4 of an inch certainly isn't perfect either. So let's see where we're at. 3/8. Oh. 2 7/16, just a little bit more. Yeah. Let's see if I can do it right here. Okay. All right, we're there. Okay, let me clean up a little bit and bolt some wheels on it and set it down. All right, the wheels are on. Half-ton rear ends in. Everything's bolted together for the most part. Not sure what to say here other than, you know, I think it's going to function for what we're wanting to do. If I want to lower it substantially, I will definitely have to C-notch the frame there and do some work. But I'm not even sure that's the kind of project this will ever end up being right now. It is just exactly this, and that is bringing it back from, you know, a pile of parts. As you look at it, you can see that it's much flatter now. The truck sits much square. The tires on the rear are probably a little short for what we'll do. We'll find something a little bit taller. That's not too much different than probably what's on the front, so it's probably sitting about square, but it doesn't have any weight on the back of the truck. So we're just gonna play it by ear. We can make all kinds of changes down the road, but right now that's kind of the extent of what we're doing. The drums are off, the inside of the backing plates are straight. I will pull the wheel cylinders out and we'll build those, and you know, just keep on moving on. So it's good to be at this point. We're gonna pretty much bring this to a close on mounting the rear end. Another piece done, or at least pretty much done. Lots of other pieces to do because of it, but it's now a roller again. It's a half ton. It's a F100 short bed. So is it a duplicate of an F100 short bed that came from the factory? Nope, not quite. Not quite. You can see that we lost 3/4 of an inch or so in axle clearance at the upright over the rear end, but I think for the most part that's okay. We can fix that down the road, or someone else can if they decide to lower it a bunch. For what we're doing, I think it's gonna work out perfect. So next pieces of this will probably be to move that. Now that we've got the rear end mounted, we'll move that upper shock cross member forward and get that in place and get the rear shocks on. If you noticed, and we're paying attention to some of the details, the 3/4 ton rear end did not have emergency brake cables on it. And that's not because they were missing. On this truck, the emergency brake is actually a drum brake on the back of the transmission. So even though it's a 3-speed, it is a little more durable than the 3-speed that would have been in it had it been a half ton. So that was an interesting awareness for me. So I figured this had the really small little peanut 3-speed, but it's got a little beefier, at least it looks like it, a little beefier 3-speed. I haven't messed with that 3-speed transmission in an F100 in a ton of years. So, I could be wrong, but it looks a little beefier. Still a 3-speed, still a column shift. It does have a drum brake emergency cable. So I'm gonna leave that on there. I'm not gonna change that. I'm gonna use it like it is. I'm gonna, when I pull the rear shoes apart and just kind of check everything out and put wheel cylinders on it, I'll pull the emergency brake cables out and we'll save them for the other truck, because I will want to use them on the 9-inch and they should be compatible. So just a little detail of kind of what you gain and what you lose as you put one of these together. The U-bolts and lower plate are substantially beefier on the 3/4 ton, and so that's an interesting piece of learning as well. Other pieces, I might look for a set of those 3/4 ton, another set of 3/4 ton lower plates, because they'll fit that 9-inch, 3-inch housing for truck rear end for the other truck quite nicely. So good learnings, always learning on these old projects and always gaining just a little more knowledge around what will work and what will help you piece it back together. So other pieces that we accomplished, basically getting it to be a roller was huge. The brakes in the back look really good. How the backing plates got so bent is hard to tell. Maybe dragging it around. I bought it out of a farm, and it was a leftover parts truck when I got it, and they had really just kind of scabbed it together enough to sell it. The main reason that I moved on it was it had good paperwork and good VIN numbers, and a handful of good pieces. Plenty worth the money that I paid for it. So that's just the way it goes. We're gonna put that Miranda into service. So it's under this truck. Then rest of the week I'll spend and I'll videotape stripping everything loose and getting it ready to lift off. I'm kind of excited about the next weekend and seeing the cab swap. I think that's going to be really neat. So until then, you'll see a handful, probably 2 or 3 videos of me prepping different things, getting the rear end, the front fenders ready to pull off. I got rear end on my mind. Getting the front fenders ready to pull off of both trucks, getting the cab bolts undone, and things of that nature. So other than that, I think that's the end of this video. I'm substantially dirtier than I was a few minutes ago when I opened this video, but the truck's a little farther along. If you like this kind of stuff, there's a lot more coming, so subscribe so you don't miss any of it. We're probably going to put 2 videos up a week, and I'm excited. The subscribe button helps us. We need it. We need the followers, and we'd love you to become one of them. So I'm Clay for Chop Shop Motors, and we'll see you on the next project.